Guys, it seems like I can't even leave you one day without there being crazy news announced about Fortnite, especially with the competitive scene. And today, this is the creative mode that was kind of leaked by one of the YouTubers that got to go play it at Epic's headquarters. And then it was basically fully released by Epic Games after they realized the leak was out. So what the creative mode is, we're going to talk about it in this video. Also, I'll be using footage from all the YouTubers that got to play at the headquarters. Again, this is not my footage. I don't own any of it. I will leave descriptions or the links in the description to all their videos if you want to go watch them, and you should. I'm just going to be using the footage as a way of commentating and kind of showing you guys what this mode is all about and how crazy it's going to be for Fortnite. Also, we saw a little bit of other leaks while these YouTubers were supposed to be hiding a certain something, and they didn't, which is a plane. So all of them were supposed to kind of hide. There's like, in the creative mode, there's like a page where you get to choose accessories like vehicles and stuff like that, and there's a plane, but they were supposed to hide it, and all of them did except for one. Unfortunately, that got leaked, and also then, well, everybody saw it on Reddit. The plane was also kind of teased in one of the teasers that Epic did on Twitter and Reddit and whatnot. So there's planes coming in Fortnite. We don't know exactly the details about them, but they're coming. I'm really excited to see what that's all going to be about. But for this video, let's really focus on the creative mode. Right, the creative mode. This is like something people have been asking for, not even to this level. Like, we've been asking for certain things in the playground, like unlimited mats, maybe, you know, being able to fly around, all that stuff. Well, Epic went above and beyond, and they actually gave us way more than we bargained for, which is a completely creative mode in which you will literally get to build anything you want. No more stairs and walls. You're building actual buildings. You actually get to build your own tilted towers. You get to build your own city in which you could actually have fights with your friends. You get to build, you know, some obstacle courses that you might want to play with. There's a lot of stuff to play around with, and I'm sure people are going to get massively creative because I've been someone that played a lot of Gary's mode. I've played a lot of Minecraft. I played a lot of these games in which people get as much creative freedom as they can, and they get to go nuts, and people do. There's some insanely creative people out there. Probably some of you are, and I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. So let's just talk about a few of the details around the creative mode and how that might impact us as competitive players. And the first thing that to mention, for me at least, is that there's now a 16-player limit in your creative mode, which is crazy because now it's not just you and, you know, 3 buddies that get to play. You get to have 16 people in your lobby, which means, you know, this is closer to what, you know, we were asking for in terms of, you know, servers, for example, on Counter-Strike or in certain deathmatch games. 16 is a good amount of players to have to maybe do, you know, practice endgame in Fortnite. Maybe someone will create a map that replicates a lot of the things that we have towards endgame. You throw 16 pro players in there, and you get to practice that over and over and over. So that's really exciting, up to 16 players. It does really change the game in terms of what we can do with Playground, how much we can practice around it. And again, that's one of the most exciting parts for me. Second of all, how the creative mode works, right? And it's in reality is you join the creative mode, and you get to go in this kind of pre-lobby in-game where it looks like there's a bunch of stones everywhere. Well, I'll show you guys on screen. And every player has their own stone associated to them, which has a portal on it, like a rift. And then when you click on the rift, you get to choose which server you want to go in. So how that works is that if you have 16 players in the game, in that lobby, you have all the stones have their own rifts and their own portals, and you can join any one of these people's servers and maps that they've created. So you can have 16 people on the same server. One of your friends is really creative. He's come up with a really nice map. Well, everyone joins you guys, and then you all get to join his little map that he created, and you get to play around with it. You get to, you know, do those death match and all that. There's also a bunch of options that you can play with in terms of how the server works. I'll put it up on the screen. You'll get to see again. Unlimited mats is something we've been asking for. Unlimited ammo is something we've been asking for, and also a bunch of other things like deathmatch, so you basically get to respawn. Another thing that's super, super great, not only do you get to build whatever you want in this mode, you basically get to do, you can spawn a bunch of buses and maybe make an obstacle course with buses. Maybe you could even rebuild tilted towers like the old version with a building that keeps getting destroyed every season. I'm on to you guys. Please do it and hit me up. So yeah, there's a lot of option here. Let's talk about competitive potential here. Let's say that you have up to 16 players in a match. Someone creates kind of an arena where you would maybe have 16 buildings or some sort of spawns that you could put everywhere. By the way, you can actually choose where people spawn. So you have spawn places that you can put on the floor. Like instead, it looks like a floor, but it's a spawn point. So you can put them around the map, which means that you could literally create a very, very competitive spread out spawn point where 16 players spawn at the same time. You all have like, you go loot and you go start fighting with each other. So there's a lot of potential here for that kind of competitiveness. And I'm hoping that on the Fortnite competitive or any other Fortnite subreddit that we can create, we have these communities where someone creates a fun map and we get 16 people and try to practice those game modes. I think that's going to change the game completely. I'm so excited to see what people come up with tomorrow. There's also a few other things. They added some different traps that we didn't have before, like the electric trap, icy floor. There's custom chests as well. That's really exciting, and that's an interesting part of it. You basically get to create your chest and create what is in your chest. So if you want to put like a scar, a deagle, a shotgun, and a bunch of other stuff, you can put like 10 items in your chest. Well, you get to do that, which is also a really, really good thing to think about when you do a competitive mode. Every spawn point maybe has the same chest next to it. And then when people open it, they have the exact things that you want them to have for your mode or for your competitive practice mode. So that's also really exciting. Guys, last minute update. Just as I was editing this video, Epic actually announced on Reddit that they were modifying the pop-up cups. And also that means they were modifying the Winter Royale mode for the NA finals that are happening next week. So this is really interesting. We're going to be looking at that quickly. Again, I just saw it on Reddit. It was just posted about 30 minutes ago. We're going to be glossing over what that means, my personal take on it, because we've been asking for these changes, and I'm really surprised that Epic came out already with these changes. This is absolutely looking to be one of the most fantastic seasons ever. Honestly, Season 7 for the competitive players. We are looking at something really interesting. So let's dive right into it. Right, number one change is the mat caps. If you guys remember, in the current pop-up cups, there's a mat cap at 300 for every single material. So wood, 300 mats, brick, same thing, and metal, the same thing. Now what they're saying is they're adjusting the mats cap for materials at 700 for wood, 500 for brick, and 300 for metal, which is really interesting. Not only that, but eliminating a player will now grant 100 wood, 50 brick, and 50 metal. And I literally remember, I can't remember where I posted, but I remember posting on Reddit something like that. Like when you kill someone, it should give you, 60 wood, 30 metal, or 30 brick. And I'm really interested. I think a lot of players requested this. I think it makes a lot of sense. Also, eliminating a player gives you that 50 shields. But they finally freaking fixed it, something that we've all been asking for. They say fixed an issue where which prevented players from receiving healings, the elimination rewards like healing, if a player they downed was eliminated by the down but not out timer ending, or their teammate was fully eliminated. So for example, you shoot someone, they're down, your teammate kills their opponent or their teammate, and you don't get the heal because you didn't thirst the kill. So now this should be fixed. Basically, every time the person that you downed dies, you will get the healing from that kill. So such a good change for duos, really, really needed. And the exciting thing, again, this will be in place for the Winter Royale. So this should make for some really exciting Winter Royale as well. This is something we've been asking for. Also, the harvest thing is the same. Another change is the increase of the supply drops in later circles. Not a huge change. I guess people will be fighting a little bit over these. I hope not too many explosives come from these because that does create issues in the later circles. Also, the Storm Surge, which was currently in the game, will only activate up to 3 times. And the details here, 70 players in Circle 2, 4 is 50 players, and 6 is 30 players. I'm not sure if I like this Storm Surge thing, but look, I guess that they are very honest here, and I think they needed to be honest because this is something that they weren't necessarily very vocal about before. They just put it in the game, didn't really explain why. Finally, the other change they're making, which is going to make a lot of people happy, is they're going to be testing, limiting the amount of games that you can play in the pop-up cups. They're starting with 30, which is, again, like they say, it's really just a really high value. It doesn't really matter. I don't think anyone plays 30 games in a night, but they were going to put it that high, and then they'll test putting it lower and lower so that people, there's an incentive to play each of these games really well and not just kind of, drop hot drop over and over and kind of play as many games as you want during the night. So they're going to be maybe playing with that value and seeing where it makes the most sense. And I really like what they say about the reasoning behind all this. They say, look, we need to be diving further into elimination incentivization by granting resources when eliminating players. And the goal here is to provide an avenue for players to refill their materials by going on the offensive, because usually in the late game, when safely harvesting can be really hard, like it's really hard to farm late game. And so when you play aggressive, you're losing mats by doing that. They're saying, you're expanding sources while securing elimination, so you're getting a little bit of that back. Also, they're saying Storm Surge is there to prevent extreme tournament scenarios where passive play is resulting in more players than desired, both in terms of the entertainment of the broadcast, and I think that's true. Again, I'm not sure if that's the right way to deal about it, but it's true that there's sometimes too passive plays in there. We end up with a bunch of players in the late game, and they say for the sake of server performance as well, it's a really important thing that there aren't 100 players in the last zone. And I think that they're saying that our hope is that this is required very seldomly as a last resort, and they'll be making a couple of experimental adjustments to reflect that and target a few specific points in the match. So I guess what they're saying here is that this Storm Surge really should not have any effect on the games, in their opinion, because you should always be doing a certain amount of damage to players in any certain games. And it should really just come into play when there's absolutely crazy scenarios where no one's shooting at each other, and we want to prevent that from happening. So I think from that perspective, it's not that bad. I think from the way they're putting it out, they really don't want that Storm Surge to have any effect on the gameplay. They really don't want it to ever come into effect. They really just feel like it's a last resort. If there's ever a game where it's absolutely crazy how no one's shooting each other, that's going to have an effect on the game. So they kind of want players to play at least a little bit aggressively. So guys, that's it. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but again, I just read this and I want to put it out there. It's really exciting. I'm hoping that we can get these in the game from tomorrow, or at least later this week, so we can start playing with this new format. I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on that. I have already played a lot of the pop-up cups, the duos one, especially with my good duo friend. We've got 46 points is our best so far, which is good. I mean, we've been playing against pro players almost every night. So I'll be trying to make videos. If you know anyone that qualified for the Winter Royale, or if you qualify for the Winter Royale, or know someone that's been doing really well in these cups, I'd really like to talk to you for one of these videos, kind of get your thoughts on it, especially with these changes. How's that going to affect your gameplay? Can you give us some tips? Can you give us some insight on the mode? I'd love to do that for a future video, because I'm guessing, look, this is not really a bold guess. I think everybody's expecting that. There should be a duo tournament, just like the Winter Royale we have right now. So I really want to get to talk to someone that can give us some tips and maybe put it out there so you guys can have the best chances possible to qualify for the duo events. So guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming over here, giving me feedback. I really appreciate it. And I'll be testing that. I don't think I'll be able to sleep tonight. I really want to play this already, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But yeah, I hope I can get to some sleep. I hope I get to talk to you guys tomorrow with the news that we're going to be getting with the game awards show. And that's it. I'm exhausted. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.